Hello, everybody. Welcome to the PIPCAST 3000, a bi-weekly podcast where we talk about games, news about games, and generally have a dedicated topic that's pretty Fallout-centric or Bethesda new thing-centric, like we did with the Starfield discussion last episode. Like I said, this is a bi-weekly podcast every other Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific. I am Caedo Genesis, much healthier. And this is my co-host, BADCOMPANYSARGE.
Probably less healthier.
Less healthier. Okay. But your voice sounds okay, so that's good.
That's all that matters. Everything else, inconsequential.
As long as your voice works, everything's great. Well, we have a tip of the day and a comment of the cast when we do these, and the tip of the day happens to be stress. Try blocking social media. And
Yay.
I found an actually pretty cool Chrome extension called Newsfeed Eradicator, which allows you to choose out of a list of several news feeds, including Twitter and Reddit and Facebook, allowing you to just check one of the boxes on whichever one is affecting you the most negatively, and it'll just replace the whole feed with an inspirational quote. And it's kind of awesome because we do have that muscle memory of going back to those things after you're so used to doing it over and over, like every other day or every day. And I like it. I turned on the Twitter one and the Facebook one, even though I barely go to Facebook, but I may turn on the Reddit one at some point too soon, because Kite and I might be making a pact to cut out a lot of social media so our lives can be generally happier. If you would like to take steps with us, there's an option, Newsfeed Eradicator. And what was the interesting comment of the cast, Sarge?
Oh, the comment of the cast, I've just realised that even though I picked it, I can't pronounce the name, comes from Topolililo67 and says, "One thing that makes Caedo special is that after all these years, he hasn't shown his face."
Yep.
Because he doesn't have one.
Caedo
is a faceless villain. He's here to take over the world. We have to stop him, please. He's holding me hostage.
I'd like to consider myself more of a faceless entity.
Okay.
Yeah. But for anybody else who wants to see my face, this is a time to promote my Patreon, where I do show my face to supporters when I do my monthly updates every the 6th of each month. Sometimes the 7th if I'm late. But I share personal stories and talk about stuff that I don't talk about on the channel, because I'm usually a pretty reserved dude. So if you want more of Caedo, including visual, just my face, patreon.com. Anyway, we had quite a few news topics. Some of it is like residual from Summer Game Fest, where we had like the Xbox Bethesda showcase, where we learned about a lot more about Starfield, and then saw the delay that Starfield had and that kind of stuff. But some of the news was not so good that came across our metaphorical desks, and maybe our actual desks, I don't know, which was Fallout 76 being a QA nightmare. This was quite a lengthy article from Kotaku that went over the accounts of about 10 former employees at Bethesda, particularly ones that worked on 76, and it wasn't very good. Crunch happening extremely regularly, not getting any better after launch, of course, because the launch was disastrous. Being coerced into taking on those extra hours for crunch. This was more like volunteering their employees to do, overtime and crunch and stuff like that. And that's kind of how it happens, at least from what I understand. Also, kind of killing the careers of some veterans in the process too, that had been taken from other projects like Redfall and Starfield, I believe. Other things under the ZeniMax umbrella. And then Fallout 76 being the one that broke them, which is not a good look either. So I'm starting with this one and had the tip of the day specifically because this kind of brings it down quite a bit, and we're starting with this because the rest of the news kind of gets better. But it's something to be aware of, that Bethesda isn't perfect. They have some problems. Like a lot of larger companies that are gracing the news lately. So yeah, if you want an interesting read, I don't know if you had any takes on this, Sarge, besides the how it was written.
Yeah. I want to be somewhat cautious about what I say, because I want to make very clear, just baseline before I say anything else, that I'm not a fan of crunch. I think all workers deserve to be treated well, and there's even mentioned at one point somewhere in the article about how having the job that's desirable shouldn't mean you have to suffer for it.
Yeah.
This is still a job, you deserve to be treated well always. Honestly, my bigger problems with the article come from, I suppose, my own personal bias against Kotaku. They've got a bit of a reputation, like they're part of the whole Gawker media. They've been in plenty of controversies in the past.
Yep.
It's very much a case of, man, I wish someone else had reported on this so I could just look at it on face value.
I wish that as well.
But I'm like, well, there are quotes in here, and clearly there's been, like, proper issues. I really do wish someone else or a different company had
they
been
did link external sources as well, which not all articles do, though. Sometimes, a lot of the time, news articles, which is a huge pet peeve of mine, link back to their own stories, and it's just a loop of linking back to themselves, which is that's not sourcing. I want to let everybody know that's not sourcing.
They do still have quite a few links to themselves. There is one specific section where there's like 6 links in a paragraph or something, and it's all just to their other articles.
They still do
a bit much,
but there was a specific link to Glassdoor entries of former Bethesda workers at Bethesda Studios, which was more eye-opening. But I also keep in mind that people that go to Glassdoor, or people that leave reviews in general, I know I am more likely to leave a negative review than a positive one, because when you're in the moment, you're just like, I need to tell somebody about how crappy this is. So that obviously needs to be taken with so much salt. Obviously, there's justification in being frustrated with a workplace, especially, but it's specifically gauging only one part of the metric. So I feel like I'm enunciating and using words really well. I mean, I've been catching up from being sick. So I don't know if I had anything else. There was one example of like, they were talking about one particularly disgruntled employee that was talking about Todd Howard just visiting the studio and seagulling, which is the term that they used, which is flying by and crapping on their work. Metaphorically. Which I don't know. I feel like Todd Howard does have, multiple hats or multiple faces. Like he definitely has a stage face, but like I don't know about that. I also don't know how involved he is or hands-on he is anymore with projects, because he is at, the CEO status. So
I think one big thing you're hitting on here is that we don't really know anything about the inside of the company and how anything's actually working. So we're literally just having to be like, okay, this is what this person has said, and then we don't get any context around it, which doesn't paint the whole picture for us. We get like a bit of a picture painted, and it's like, yeah, that's bad. But not being able to see it obviously creates a small amount of disconnect where you don't know exactly. I'm not. Manny, you may be good at the enunciating, but I'm doing bad at this one.
That's okay. It's not an easy subject either. Like, we picked one of the hardest ones to go off with first.
Yeah. There is one point in this article that I do quite like it, even though it's... Okay, I'm going to quickly say one of my other slight problems with the article is there's a lot of just the Kotaku writer saying stuff rather than the quotes. There are quotes, and these are the things to really pay attention to, but there's a lot more of just building stuff off of that. Personally, I'd have preferred, like, a full, basically, transcript of the interview and the discussions that were had with these employees. I think that would have been almost more beneficial to, like, getting it through, or even as a side thing.
Yeah, I would love a transcription of an interview instead.
Yeah, because we're getting lots of, like, short, small quotes here and there without, like, the whole conversation and everything, and it's always really nice to be able to fully read through and see all of the stuff, which is kind of what I was going on with the past point. But one thing that Kotaku does point out is, like, the size of Bethesda Game Studios, saying that it only had around 400 employees around the time 76 was, like, out. And Ubisoft Montreal, they're saying, is over 3,500 employees. And there is kind of a thing where Bethesda's main studio is relatively small, but they make these huge games, and that's going to have kind of an effect. Because you can't just make something massive with a small amount of people without everyone putting in a ton of work.
Yeah, and a negative effect on almost every aspect in some degree, which, you know. But I hated seeing, like, one of those Glassdoor reviews where somebody who had grown up loving, you know, Bethesda games, and now they just dread everything related to Bethesda. Like, it completely ruined that enjoyment and appreciation for them, which is not a good look. And I'm pretty sure, like, this was just a majority of QA testers, and it seemed like QA testers in the Bethesda society, I guess, even if they were taken on as permanent employees, which is something that Bethesda shifted to do, which is cool. That part is cool, but they were still treated as, like, secondhand or contracted workers, even though they were full-time working under ZeniMax as a whole.
Yeah, I feel like for years now I've heard a lot of, like, almost slights towards QA, where it's almost not viewed, like, as important as it really is.
It's not viewed as true game development. That's like the stereotype.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you didn't make this, you're just testing it. We did all the work kind of thing.
Or, well, you just play video games all day. That's all you do, right?
Yeah,
and
when in reality it is, like, a job,
yeah,
where you do have to, like, fill in a ton of stuff and work it out.
Like, what can we relate this to? Like maybe writing movie reviews or writing book reviews. Like, you have to know what you're reading, comprehension, what you're watching.
I wouldn't even say that, because a lot of QA is finding the thing that's broken and then doing that broken thing over and over and over again, and just experiencing, like, the worst part of a game constantly.
I mean, if you watch a movie review, particularly of a bad movie, and you're reviewing a bad portion of the movie, you're gonna keep rewinding it and watching.
Yeah, I'd say it is if you're reviewing it and you have to keep watching the bad bit to fully break it down. That's what it's like. Yeah. And that's, like, fairly taxing on its own. And then when you're not, like, considered a proper part of a team or anything, that's gonna take a heavy effect on you.
Yeah. Or like just use like high school essay writing, for example. If you had to keep going back and changing your essay throughout the entire school year, not just one time. Or like your teacher corrects it and you got a passing grade, so you don't have to even look at it anymore. No, the whole year. Like that level of focus on one thing, and I could see that being, you know, pretty taxing after a while. But we just play the games, right? Like,
yeah.
To a lesser degree, you and we just play games and make videos on it, which has its own level of work, obviously, but, like, I don't know if it's easily comparable to game design at all.
I'd say it's not really that comparable.
No.
Like, we're self-employed. They're having to work for the company and have people over them and stuff. Like, they've got a regular job, but with the outside look of it being this super desirable thing, and the interior thing of often being looked down upon. Like, it's kind of the worst of both situations within QA.
Like, and one of the few, like, silver lining things would be like, oh, they get health benefits. That's cool. I mean, that's more of an American thing to think about.
Yeah. I don't feel like I really comment on any of this. We're okay in the UK. Like, we have plenty to complain about, but we at least get stuff like that as standard.
Yeah. I paid $175 for my appointment today. Out of pocket. Anyway.
Ow.
Do you want to move on to the next thing about games?
Yeah, I think we've really spoken about as much as we can.
Talk about being passionate about games.
One sec. I'm just going to say, it is worth remembering, everyone, we do have links in the description.
Yes.
So if you do want to read through this whole thing yourself, get your own take on it, I would recommend.
Yeah.
Especially if you do want to, like, go further into things. Because we kind of just pulled out a few parts here and there. So
I would like to encourage that as well. It is a long read, but it is worth being aware of. Like, publishers and developers, they're not... Yeah. This isn't like the 90s, early 2000s where you could just look at gaming magazines and be like, oh, wow, I want to work there one day. It's a little more nuance to it.
Yeah.
Okay, but speaking about being passionate about things, Kingdoms of Amalur got a little patch, didn't it?
Yeah, so specifically Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning got a patch mostly for Fatesworn.
Yes.
Which was the DLC that came out last year, I want to say.
When did it come out?
It was probably last year. Maybe start of this year, who knows. Yes, it said coming December 14th, 2021. That was technically last year. So, yes, there was that big DLC that came out, and you beat it, didn't you, Caedo?
I did.
Yeah, I didn't. I haven't gone back and finished it yet.
You got burnt out, because...
Yeah. I went in with not a max level character, and it was like, haha, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'll get to it at some point. Give me a year or two.
Yeah.
But hopefully, by the time I get to it, any issues will be patched. Because just on Monday, so less than a week ago, there was a little post made and an update to the game with just a whole bunch of different fixes for various bugs and issues here and there. Some of them minor stuff like cosmetic issues, and some of actual like quest blocks and stuff. Where like they even say at some point there's Dolan Hardy could die during the quest, blocking the quest, which obviously isn't helpful. But yeah, it sounds like, well, it's just good to see that they've still done a bunch of work for it after the fact, rather than just throwing it out there and being like, boom, done.
Good. I thought you were going to keep talking.
Nope. I thought you might have something to say.
Nope. I played it, and, you know, the ending of the Fatesworn DLC was memorable. I do remember really appreciating what they did, like a little like, hey, thank you for being a player and playing and enjoying this game as long as you have, because we enjoyed, you know, that kind of thing. But in the narrative of the game kind of thing. Yeah. I thought that was cool. But like, Agarth's voice actor very much didn't seem to be in it. Like, his voice was completely changed from the original game to Fatesworn, so you could tell there was like a huge gap of time, and also the art direction complaint that I had, just a lack of vivid colors like the rest of the game.
Yeah.
There's some of it that's kind of jarring, but some of it that I appreciate a lot. Yes.
I actually checked while you were saying that about the voice actor. His original voice actor, John Segan possibly, sadly passed away in 2017.
Oh.
So it's a recast.
Oh.
Which is why it's different.
Well, the recast sounds
Neil
like
Kaplan.
Sounds like Agarth's voice actor, I guess, but just
so that would be why it's not quite sounding right, because it's
not
someone
as
doing
grizzled.
an impression.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take the L on that one.
I was actually expecting it to be a case of, he just got a bit older and so on, so voice to change.
That's what I thought
apparently.
initially when I first played, but like, yeah, that's actually kind of impressive now. But also, it's noticeable, so
yeah.
I'm sure there's only so much they could do. Okay. Speaking of only so much they can do, the Cyberpunk 2077 has a board game now, and its trailer is hilarious. What did you think of the trailer, Sarge?
Man, I didn't care. I think that's my only feeling about the trailer as a whole. Just like, yeah, whatever. Like, they use a lot of cinematic style footage from the game to kind of showcase a board game.
Yeah.
Like, this, I can't make it clear enough that this is not like an expansion for Cyberpunk 2077, the video game. They just use a bunch of footage from the game interlaced with like maybe about 15 seconds worth of shots of the actual board.
Yeah.
To kind of advertise it. I enjoyed the comments more than the trailer. I'll be real.
I did as well. And it's pretty great. Seeing like something that the board game is designed around that was initially supposed to be part of the game that still isn't.
Yeah, a lot of the comments are just like, wow, that part about hiring muscle or building up your reputation sounds really cool. Wish we could do that in the game.
Yeah.
It's just so much of it. A few people as well pointing out that Cyberpunk 2077, the video game, is obviously based on like the world of Cyberpunk, which already has plenty of like non-digital games around it. So it's like, you're doing something based off of something which is already based off the type of thing that you're creating from based off, and it's a bit odd. It's like when you got Street Fighter the movie, the game.
Yeah.
It's that kind of same feeling of like, wait, we're just going back around to what it was originally? Yeah,
I wonder how much effort they put into animating the board too. Because those are like, you know, fully 3D assets that they've been made to animate and make look really cool and stuff like that. There's no real people involved with this, which also makes me wonder.
What?
Oh, it's a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exist yet. I was wrong.
No.
So proof of concept.
Yes.
But it's already gotten fully backed, like almost 4 times the amount that they were asking for.
That's
they were asking for 100,000. They got 3.4 or 3,400, 340,000. My God,
man, that's a lot of money.
That is money.
Like, I know stuff like this does take quite a bit of money to actually make, but
yeah. Well, here's something cool. Maybe that by the time it is done, you will be able to influence the gangs in that way.
Like in the game. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they're trying to time it.
It's a possibility. I mean, it's been like, what, 6-7 months since the last Cyberpunk patch, so
yeah.
Maybe we'll get this game in like 5 odd months and they'll do a year anniversary of the last patch to fix some more bugs and stuff. The board game, what we do see of like the concept of it, looks fine. It looks like the sort of thing I'd play a couple of times with friends. But, like, without actually playing it and having no idea, like, how it plays or anything. Because this is, like, 100% a style over substance kind of trailer. Like, technically, we get shown stuff, but it doesn't really mean anything.
No.
It's like we see their story cards, and oh, look, the Valentinos, and Militech smart guns. And you gain 1 green thing for each orange thing you have. Then gain 1 yellow thing, says one of the cards. Cool, yes. That's probably helpful. Like, it's all somewhat meaningless without the actual
I think it's hard to make a complicated board game look cool in a trailer. I think that's part of it. Like, if you go back and look at even like the 80s and 90s commercials for things like Connect 4 and stuff like that, like those actually looked cool because those were simple games.
Yeah,
but or like even like Battleship, like you sing my Battleship, like there's a freaking culture quote like created out of that. But this is not like you can't. There's not. Well, also there's no real people there because it's, you know, a concept that they're showing. Maybe later we'll get something like that. Where it'll be actual people in Cyberpunk get-ups like playing together and be like, oh no, your gang killed my gang. Looks like
Yeah.
I gotta pay the toll now, or something like that. I don't know.
It does feel like the kind of game that would benefit a lot more from a like review playthrough or something like that. In fact, I'm hoping that ProZD will cover this, because he does a lot of board game reviews and stuff.
Ah.
And I'd be interested to see that. I'm now wondering if he's also a voice actor, so I'm just going to check if he's voiced anything in the game.
That's probably a good question.
Could be a conflict of interest. Doesn't seem to be the case.
Okay.
Alright. No conflict of interest. I allow you to do it, person who I've never met. It's fine.
Yeah, so Dragon's Dogma 2 finally got announced.
It did.
We'd seen some stirrings around the Dragon's Dogma franchise as a whole anyway, because they had the anime that came out that on Netflix that is not good.
Oh dear. You say that, I keep wanting to watch it.
In my opinion, it's not good. It's got too much gratuitous sex, not enough violence, I think that's my thing about it.
That's fair. I do prefer
also
my gratuitous violence to
also
my gratuitous
just
sex.
really dumb plot points in a lot of like the characters and stuff like that. Like it has this I don't know what I can relate it to. Game of Thrones, like I had never watched Game of Thrones, but I could just be like, oh, it like this character's going to die, so why should I be invested, kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's the main characters running into new characters like almost every episode, and then somehow they end up dying, and you're just like, where is my investment? This main character, yes, a lot of red shirts, thank you. Perfect analogy. But this main character is so incredibly unlikable that I'm just like, I don't know why I'm watching this at all, because he's just a huge standoffish beehole that's just, you know, fighting things for money or something. I don't know, or fighting things because he's the dragon guy thing.
Wait, is he doing it for some kind of like prophecy, mystical I am a chosen one reason, or is he doing it for financial gain? Because this will affect entirely if I'm going to watch the show or not.
Prophecy, mystical bullcrap, I guess.
Show sucks.
Okay.
Should be doing it for money.
Okay, yeah.
Went from a 10 out of 10 to 0 out of 10. How dare
I'm sorry.
they?
I was trying to recall, because we watched some of it on the Discord too, like as a group watch thing, and I was just like, wow, this has too much nudity for me to be streaming it. But I did anyway.
Well,
only to patrons, by the way. Yep. Not the whole server. I knew the age of the people I was watching with.
Well, despite the anime being something you're not a fan of, do you have high hopes for the second game?
I wasn't the biggest fan of the game. Okay, so the first game was fun in a gameplay sense, but again, like the story where like something I want to use as a way to get from one objective to another, didn't seem to be engaging enough, or maybe it was too political like Final Fantasy 12. I just didn't care about what the characters had to say, but the mechanics are cool. Like the pawn system was like groundbreaking at the time and still is. The pseudo monster hunter, like being able to mount up on dragons and like stab them in the face kind of thing, or like Shadow of the Colossus kind of thing. The systems that they integrated like that were pretty cool. So if that part of it is solid and the characters are tolerable, I'd probably give 2 a shot. Or characters in the story are tolerable. But by the end of the first game, the technical first end, because there's like a post credits, like do a bunch of stuff too. Like after the whole situation with the dragon, I was just like, I don't understand why.
Okay.
Because you're effectively immortal when a dragon takes your heart, right?
Well, don't give me spoilers.
No, that's the first part of the game. Like, didn't you play the game?
I bought it the other day. This is how I found out there's a second one. Because the first game's now on, like, a big discount off, like, 75-80%, some, like, big amount.
Oh, just add that to the Steam thing.
Well, I'm mentioning it here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I bought Dragon's Dogma the other day, because I'd had it on my wish list for a while, just as like, oh, this is an RPG, which I've heard people mention, I'll get it if it goes cheap. And it was like, probably about $5, I want to say. So, nice and cheap, and I was like, yeah, I'll pick this up and play it at some point. Because somehow I have avoided all spoilers and stuff from it.
I won't say anything else then, so you can you can see the intro and draw your own conclusions.
Yeah, sorry about cutting you off a little bit there.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
This, like, 10-year-old game, I've somehow had zero
Caedo,
spoilers.
don't spoil a 10-year-old game. What are you doing?
It's so close now. I'll probably be playing it in, like, a month or two, which still is a bit far away, to be fair, but we'll see.
You know, Fallout 4 is not far from being a 10-year-old game.
What? Didn't that come out, like, 2015?
Yeah.
That's, like, 3 years away.
Yeah. It's not far.
That's plenty far enough.
It's almost ancient.
7 and 10 are not that close a number. Well, with ratings like that, you'd completely screw up Epic Game Store's new rating system.
Yeah, I would. So what is this about? Are they finally adding it?
Well, yes. So the Epic Game Store has introduced this new rating system for games, which is specifically designed to stop, like, review bombing and just having a whole group of people come over and change the score in, like, a minute kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's a little odd, because rather than just you review whatever, which is how most places do it, like, you don't even need to have bought the thing half the time for most online reviews. But for this, they're doing it where after you've played the game, sometimes you will have like hey, what do you think of the game? Leave a rating. And it's like between 1 and 5 stars, and then there's an average rating created from all of that. And it's kind of an interesting system. Because it is like, you've just got done playing the game, what did you think? And if it's only popping up for people who have, like, purchased the game, installed it, downloaded it, played some of it, and then sometimes it will pop up, I do think that's a fairly good way of getting rid of review bombs.
Yeah.
But it is also fairly random. And there doesn't appear to be, like, a comment thing where you can explain scores or anything. It's just like, hey, what do you think out of 5?
Yeah. And
the randomness of it, like, it doesn't explain why the score is really low. They have added in, like, or are adding in, I haven't seen these yet, but there's sometimes polls you get where they try and give some questions to give an idea of things, which does look interesting. I've actually got a few examples in, like, their little picture thing for a Rocket League. They're like, is this game best to play with a team? And there's a yes or no thing there. And there's which word best describes the game's visuals? Beautiful, realistic, playful, or unique? Like, that's some interesting stuff here and there. But they really are getting rid of both the best part and the worst part of the standard review format. Because being able to read through and hear exactly what people think is helpful in a lot of reviews. You can see why someone rated it high, why someone rated it low. Oftentimes when there's a controversial game, you'll hear people being like, I don't know why everyone rated it exact opposite rating of me. They're all idiots. And those are fun to read through. But yeah, this also does kind of prevent that same issue. So, I don't know. What do you think?
I think some review system is better than none.
That's fair.
But also, I don't think it's like a tipping point for me, or should be a tipping point for anybody else on whether or not the Epic Game Store is worth using. Because I wonder if... I know people probably use that as ammunition too, like, it's lacking features that Steam has. Like, I don't know. I'm still of the mind that, like, free games are nice, and also I just want to play games. Yeah.
I feel like at this point everyone must have just made their camp. I don't know if
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Changing
about
stuff like this. I will say that overall, I'm glad to see at least new review features and stuff being experimented with. Because even if this isn't, like, the way forward, it'll be interesting to see if we get any, like, bits and pieces here which other review sites start picking up on and trying to incorporate a little bit more.
One thing that Steam has that I wish that would be integrated into Epic is, first of all, a better sorting system for games and getting to things based on those games.
I have noticed Epic has started adding in, like, a filter thing, which is a step in the right direction. They've got, like, genre, features, types, and platform, but it's not, like, still as specific as it would be nice to see it.
So, let's say if I go to 20XX for some reason, the Mega Man inspired platformer. All I can look at is its DLCs that are available and its store page, which then I would scroll down and find reviews, which I can see now. It's a 4.6.
Yes.
Critics recommend 68%. Top critic average 80%. Open critic rating strong.
Cyberpunk 2077 is also a 4.6
Oh, weird.
on the Epic Player reviews, and 63% of critics recommend.
Yeah, but something that I wish that was more easily available is just tabs, like a game splash with tabs leading to these other aspects, like the reviews themselves, segmented out and visible in, you know, a tab list, basically. Because Steam does that for your library. Like you can go to, you know, store page, community tab, guides, like all that stuff is right up at the top when you select a game. And one thing I would like to see someday is a guide tab and maybe a guide feature, because I make guides and some of my Steam guides do.
Oh, Caedo, just trying to get extra views. I see the angle you're
perform
working.
really well on Steam. That's all I'm saying. Some of them perform really well on Steam because people don't want to go to a separate browser or bring up their phone. They just want to like find the information they need and go on. And the Steam guide section is good for that.
All right. Honestly, I actually have slightly opposing feelings to that, where I hate the whole community thing on Steam, and I went through the procedure of getting rid of it showing up.
I wasn't trying to encourage the community tab, by the way. Not the community tab.
I know that's
the guide
kind of
tab.
like a.
Those are two separate tabs.
I mean, you mentioned the community one, though, very briefly, so I'm just going to say that I don't like the whole community tab thing showing up when you, like, click on one of your own games in Steam. That's something where I had to really dig through the settings to work out how to turn that off. Because it was mostly just mods of big booby ladies in a Fallout and Skyrim that were constantly being posted, and I was like, I just want to play this game, please.
Maybe put guides closer to store page. Maybe do that.
One final thing on the review thing.
Yes,
from the
reviews.
Epic Games Store.
Indeed.
Which I kind of like, but looking at the page I'm looking at now, I'm not 100% on board with the opinions that have been listed, is that you get, like, these cubes which says, hey, this game has, this game is. So for Cyberpunk 2077, along with the rating, it says, this game has inclusive character customization. This game has great boss battles. This game is highly recommended. This game is extremely fun. This game is great for beginners. This game has diverse characters. And, like, there's obviously these things where people have been polled on and been like, yeah, I think this is a thing.
So they're
it's like
kind of like tags, but a little more descriptive.
Yeah, like meant to give you an idea of the game. And, like, most of these I'd agree with. I'm not so sure about great for beginners. Like, I feel like Cyberpunk's leveling system and skill system and stuff is a bit odd. So I'm not sure I'd fully agree with that one. But I can at least see. Yeah, I can at least see where some of these come from. And because this is quite a new feature, I do suspect that this will get better over time. Like, the bigger the sample size, the better it will be overall. And we're probably working with very small sample sizes. It's just like a handful of people here and there just being like, yeah, I loved this, and because one person says that, it's like, yeah, this game's amazing. Whereas if you get like 100 people and only 12 of them say they love it, it'll be like, oh, well, actually, this game isn't so amazing.
Well, it's interesting. I want to see more things added to Epic. So, you know, in this case for me, it's like more is better for features, I suppose. Like in the grand scheme, again, I don't care too much, but you know, more options is cool, I guess. I just want to play games. I just want to play video games, Sarge.
Yeah, why aren't the video games we want to play out yet, Caedo?
Because it got delayed. Like Starfield.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Pete Hines. Why don't we group these up? Because they're very similar. Pete Hines and Todd Howard, Uncle Pete and Papa Todd, both did interviews with GameSpot and IGN.
I'm instantly going to create some drama. Just gonna do it and say that the GameSpot interviewer I preferred much more to the IGN one. Yeah, take that, two people who I've only seen once and have the tiniest perspective of overall.
Yeah. I mean, the GameSpot one, I don't even know if they showed his name. He did a good job. But he was talking to Pete Hines. Pete Hines is also the community like manager or marketing guy. I feel like his interpersonal stuff is a little better than Todd Howard's.
Probably helps that Todd Howard was like over the phone and Pete Hines was in person.
That's true too. Yeah, there was actual like body language and them sitting across from each other. The cool part was like the interviewer was like, "Oh, I'm looking for people to play with Redfall," and Pete Hines is like, "Let's join up, let's play." I was like, whether they follow through with that or whether it's just for seeing their lovely faces in an interview, I don't know. But I thought that was a nice little extra quick, and it seemed natural where others definitely can seem unnatural. So
yeah, I actually think that's the biggest difference between the two interviews. The IGN one kind of was like, here is question, here is answer, here is next question.
A lot more mechanical than like, or by the numbers kind of thing. Yeah. But we shouldn't pick apart the interview themselves. We should probably talk about the stuff that they talked about.
Yes, the actual content.
So in the GameSpot article with Pete Hines, there was talk about the delays of both Redfall and Starfield. Them knowing that they want to release a game, potentially learning after 76, they want to release a game in a finished state. Maybe not do a lot of that crunch that happened with Fallout 76.
Hopefully this means things will be better in all aspects.
Yes, hope so. A summarization and breakdown of Redfall by Arcane. So he talked about the aspects that make something, you know, like Arcane recognizable. Like if you play Prey, if you play Dishonored, you can kind of recognize their style over other developers. He talked about the Elder Scrolls Online, the Breton update that was coming, or that has, I think it has already. I don't play Elder Scrolls Online, so. And then he talked about Fallout 76 and Fallout's 25th anniversary as a franchise. And he talked about the importance of the classics and remembering, you know, the entirety of the franchise, not just the Bethesda made ones, which was kind of cool. He didn't name drop anyone though, which was a little disappointing to me. Because he could have said Interplay, he could have said Black Isle, he could have said In Exile, he could have said Obsidian, but he didn't say any of those.
No. So. I mean, the fact you've just listed off like 4 different ones might be part of a reason why.
He could have just said Interplay, because Interplay, you know, was the OG. But then he went into Starfield.
I mean, yeah.
And it's Starfield stuff. And so did Todd Howard.
Yes, we had a lot of Starfield stuff, a lot of like clarifications mostly, and little bits of added info here and there, especially on the part which everyone had a hot take on. I almost unsubscribed from a few channels. There were far too many people milking the 1,000+ planets thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can make one video about it.
So
you make
now,
3, and I'm clicking that
so
unsubscribe
now,
button.
In response, we're gonna milk it and talk about Todd Howard's clarification that he made in his IGN interview, where he was talking about, and I went back and looked at the presentation too. He specifically talked about like an ice ball planet as an example. You want to go to an ice ball planet, you can go do that, but under the impression that it's an ice ball, like there's nothing on it but ice. And so that was worded intentionally. Like, I'm sure that the entire presentation was with intention. But it was of course picked apart by a lot of people that were trying to interpret if there was more there or less there than was stated. But in this interview, he clarified a little bit more. Like, yes, there are, a lot of planets to explore, but some of them are going to be more interesting than others, or not interesting in the least. And maybe just be, I've seen a commenter talk about, like, I think it was on the last episode, I think, or somewhere, that the planets have potential for modders too.
Yeah. Oh, that's
wasn't
been
the
a
last
slightly
episode.
fun online discourse.
Yeah.
Seeing that point worded as either an amazing thing or a terrible thing, while saying the exact same point. That's a fun one.
Oh, Bethesda, we need to finish your game.
Yeah, it's either like, wow, Bethesda's given us so many of these planets we can mod, that's amazing, or oh my god, Bethesda, I can't believe you're making us do all the work.
Pretty sure we've been here long enough to know where it's gonna go.
Yep. But one thing I do quite like, and I can't remember if it was Pete or Todd who said it, but there was kind of the talking about people playing the games in slightly different ways, and how, like, you can have the main quest guided stuff where you just go to the, like, big important planets, places like New Atlantis, and you're just kind of guided through the main quest doing the odd side thing here and there. Or you can go, like, all out exploring and really build up your ship and take a look at all the planets. And it kind of facilitates different ways to play the game, which is good, I think.
Yeah. I got nothing else to say on it.
Oh, okay, wow. I was expecting more. Man, honestly, I don't think I have much else to say either. I'm trying to think if there's anything in particular I want to bring out.
I mean, we said a lot about Starfield last episode, so
we did.
I can't tell you if I remember any of it, but we did.
Yeah. Oh my god. I scrolled down to the comments of the IGM1. I hate the top comment. I hate it. Says, Ryan literally never misses with his interviews. This guy just made Todd Howard confirm Fallout 5. Awesome stuff, my man.
Yeah, also, Fallout 5 was already confirmed, right? Like, I mean,
he doesn't even say, like, Fallout 5, I don't think. He says, like, yeah, we'll be working on other Fallout games in the future. Like, it's never been a debated thing.
But I know it was in the news, like, over the last week or so. Like, everybody's just like, oh my god, Fallout 5 confirmed. Like, we already knew. We just didn't know when. And we still don't know when. I genuinely think
there's people out there who are like, oh my god, did you see all the videos? 76 killed the Fallout franchise. And I'm betting it's that wave where it's like, man, a lot of people were angry about that game.
They thought 76 was the end.
The entire franchise is over.
A spin-off is the end of the series. Oh no.
People don't know what games are the spin-offs and which ones are the main games.
No.
We're like fully integrated into all of this. Of course we know what's going on.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people who have only played like these games once or twice. Like, oh yeah, I put like 10 hours into Fallout across my entire lifetime. I heard the entire franchise is dead because I saw a thumbnail.
Yeah.
That's the case for plenty of people.
I clicked this clickbait and now that's all I believe.
Yep.
That's a good quote. I should put that on a shirt. I clicked this one clickbait. Now it's all I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Check out my merch store that hasn't been updated for like 3 years.
Yeah.
So the next thing, the final thing in the news section, then we'll get on to the topic. I didn't tease what the topic was, Sarge.
They can read.
That's the one
Give
thing.
the viewer some credit.
Because it's B-roll
There are
on screen.
stamps
No,
on there.
Because it's B-roll on screen now, like, it's only timestamps for so long, and then it's gone.
It's at the start. They can scroll through. They can see the description.
And there's chapter
Quite
points.
frankly, I think anyone who's not able to figure out what the topic is and cares about
any of you commenters who are just like, oh no, Caedo didn't tell me, like, I'm a bit daft. Like, please let me know, and then I'll make it readily available, more available to you if I can. But, like, I want to trust you. I want to trust you listeners that you can also read. But I do like to tease it. I like to keep people, like, in the news section, but people skip ahead anyway. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
Steam Summer Sale. Last news thing.
Yes.
Get your wallets out. Lord Gaben is taking donations. The Steam Summer Sale, like all the games that are on your wish list and stuff like that, now is the time to sift through that list and see if you want to get one of those things, because it's pretty cheap. It might be pretty cheap, depending on what, Yeah. Most of my list of games...
Some of the tiny ones. Tiny little amounts knocked off.
I was going to say, most of my games on my wish list are coming soon. Like, that's
like,
the...
you can save £1 on the game Have a Nice Death. What an amazing sale. That completely changes my mind on whether or not I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Some of them are like Borderlands franchise. We've got up to 94% off. Mm-hmm. Which is a lot.
Yeah.
What game is 94% off? Oh, it's the Handsome Collection.
Oh.
It's 94% off.
Nice.
So yeah, if you want Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, man, that's weird. Then
you can get it for
you
pennies.
can get those two games fairly cheapish.
But I did make a couple of suggestions for those of you who are, interested in mostly like Fallout and post-apoc games. Just a couple. Kenshi is currently $12. I will sing that game's praises all the time because it is one of the best post-apocalyptic games that have released over the last decade. I am certain of that. It's in my top 5. Fallout 4 Game of the Year is $13.19 USD. If you haven't played Fallout 4, you can get the whole package for under $15. And Fallout 76 is $9.99 USD, or you can just play it on Game Pass.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw that option out there too. And also, like, other options for playing the Fallout franchise, like Game Pass, you get access to like all of them. So if you like scale up to about $15 a month, you can access all of those games at any point in time, really. So, there's that option too. Just a suggestion, not Steam Summer Sale, but Game Pass is good. There we are. There's the news. We started sad and then we ended glad to throw money at things.
Yes.
We grabbed an article from The Gamer. Yes. It's not a list.
This time, and it's up to date. We're not going from like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
At time of recording, this was published 17 hours ago.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This was published on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And like 2 days later, we'll be talking about it to the public. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. We're doing recent news. Recent news that it's like a few days difference.
Yeah.
So do you want to start this one or should I?
I'll let you start.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to go over the actual details, and I'll just scoff or agree at the points I feel necessary.
Okay. Well, this article is titled Fallout New Vegas Heavy Weapons Build Guide. And the URL is also the same, which is nice. We've had trouble with inconsistencies in that in the past. It says, here's how to create the perfect heavy weapons build in Fallout New Vegas.
The perfect heavy weapons
The perfect
build.
one.
Man. Okay, perfect character inbound.
Yep. Fallout New Vegas has dozens of weapons for you to wield, but not all of them are equal in power. Strange. For stealth, you have snipers. For close range, you have melee weapons. And for explosives, you have a plethora of choices. Heavy weapons fall somewhere in the middle of each. But what separates them from other weapon types is their high strength requirements and heavy weights. You'll need a high strength stat if you hope to wield a heavy weapon in battle, but you'll soon see that it's completely worth the trade-off. Below, you'll find everything that you need to get started with a heavy weapons build, including a few weapons you may want to use. Mr. Buildman, who does builds. This is
Yes, I have done builds in the past.
This article is just for you.
Yeah, I will say I've already skimmed through, and I've not had a proper read. I've literally just scrolled down to the bottom page and scrolled back up, and I'm like, instantly, there's going to be some stuff where I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting, that's like a good thing, and some stuff where I'm like, what?
Yeah. This is a critique, sometimes taking the piss. That's what we're doing.
Like, so first off, positive point, I suppose, that I'm going to kind of give overall is the format.
Yes.
I'm someone who makes build, or has made plenty of build videos in the past, and it's a fairly standard kind of formula to it all for video format, but I think with this, having it be just written, all text and the odd image, does help with kind of varying that up a bit. So if you are someone who doesn't enjoy the "welcome back to another Fallout New Vegas build" style of thing, then you have something different here, which might still be able to give you ideas for your own build, might be able to follow exactly, you won't, or you might just get some inspiration. This is like a different way to do it, and I appreciate that. And I very much want to start on a positive point of, hey, this is a different way to do it. I'm a fan of that, in concept.
Just having anything like organized as you would a filing system almost is nice.
Yeah.
As a guide creator, I approve.
As a person who makes guides that are very concise and kind of to the point, I feel like a critique we've had of the game before has been how they kind of just seem to throw in the odd sentence here and there, which seems like fluff and kind of doesn't make sense. So let's read, I don't know, 2 sentences into this next part and see how it goes.
Mention this was written by Michael Caruso. I don't know if we've done any of his articles before.
I'm not aware. He seems to actually cover a lot of like Bethesda-y style stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, that time I definitely sounded like I had something else to say and I didn't. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah. So he starts off with like a how to play a heavy weapons character. And he writes here that heavy weapons have many advantages. They're often larger in appearance than other guns, in addition to having a higher base damage per hit. Such a mild complaint. But
that's
saying,
incorrect.
Hey, they've got advantages. They're larger than other guns.
That's wrong.
That part is like, what? It's like, I'd say that's neutral to disadvantage.
Yeah. And the second part,
because it's just blocking a bunch of your screen. Yeah, having a higher base damage per hit.
No, that's.
I mean, sometimes
Minigun does not have higher damage per hit.
No, minigun does not. But like,
and that's like the iconic big gun in Fallout.
I mean, missile launcher. That's got to be high base damage per hit.
That in New Vegas counts as explosive.
Oh man, yeah.
This is gonna get complicated.
Oh yeah. Wow, this is gonna be for a few things on this, isn't it? Yep. Okay. Well, does the Fat Man count as a heavy weapon?
That counts as explosive too.
Okay, because the very next line is, although you may immediately imagine the Fat Man as the perfect example of a heavy weapon, there are dozens of other weapons that fit this category, so the playstyle is very diverse. Yeah. Which, while not explicitly saying that the Fat Man is a heavy weapon, does kind of hint towards it being one, which if it's not fully covered, could be a little bit misleading on that front, I suppose.
I think it may be trying to combine explosives and heavy weapons.
Yeah, because it's the skill is big guns, right, in New Vegas.
There's guns as a skill and explosives because they combined all the gun skills into one guns thing.
Man.
Yeah, it's messy.
I think my actual problem is not that long ago I was reading through like all of the different games and their skills, and I feel like before I did the research on it, I was solid on what's what, and now it's all merged into one. So you know what? Because he's just saying a heavy weapons build, I kind of get this. There's gonna be explosives, there's gonna be guns. I'm trying not to say big guns. Hopefully at some point in this how-to section, that will be covered.
Yeah. It's just at New Vegas' disadvantage where big guns were kind of split between two skills.
Yeah. Well, surely it'd be over a few skills, right? Because energy weapons, guns, and explosives, I feel like, must contain all of them.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because they're showing the Tesla beaten prototype, which is an energy weapon.
Yep.
Oh my god, 3 skills.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, you know what? A bit of a complex topic to take on.
A little bit.
Doesn't seem it at first, but...
My expectations are now higher.
Yeah.
Or lower. I don't know which.
I think there's more stuff that needs to be talked about for this to be a really helpful guide.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't trying to read, but I've just seen ahead like 5 or 6 words. Automatic heavy weapons such as the flamer. Like,
kind of? I don't know.
Yeah, that's such a clunky way to describe it.
Okay.
It's like, sure, you do press the trigger and it keeps firing, I guess.
Yeah.
But...
Let's just go back and read the rest of the thing. Read the rest of the first one.
Okay, I read the Fat Man bit, didn't I? Okay, so we're on to the next paragraph, which is, however, there are a few universal truths when it comes to heavy weapons. Firstly, you should avoid stealth. Although you can incorporate stealth into some heavy weapon builds, most of the weapons you'll be using don't pair well with stealth. Heavy weapons are best when you join the fight directly, especially if you're using automatic heavy weapons such as the flamer. Yeah. Mostly agree with that, I will say.
Yeah.
That's a general like basic tip of these two playstyles don't really mix well together most of the time.
Yeah.
And I do actually really appreciate that it's he mentions like you can incorporate stealth into some heavy weapon builds.
Yes.
I like how it's not being this is the only way. That's genuinely a good like little acknowledgement.
Yep. Because like something like the Tesla beaten prototype, yes, you can snipe with it, kind of. Kind of. Whereas you don't really need to sneak with a Fat Man.
I mean, it's fun though.
It's fun, but you don't really need to.
No. Okay, and the second thing you should keep in mind for a heavy weapons build is that you can easily defeat hordes of enemies with a single shot, especially with weapons like the Fat Man. Be sure to lead enemies to each other before you fire a shot. Since heavy weapon ammo is often expensive, it's not always worth wasting a shot on individual enemies if you're using an area of effect weapon. Great tip! 10 out of 10 for that paragraph.
Yeah, definitely.
Mentioning leading enemies towards each other, conserving your ammo because it's expensive, sometimes not firing.
Can I add a pro tip too?
Yeah.
New Vegas spawns are weird, where they will respawn exactly where they died. So if you pull the entirety of the Vault 3 area into one little spot, and wait a few days after you kill them, they will all spawn in that one spot again. And then you can come there with a big explosive and blow them all up.
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Cool. That's something I didn't know.
That's how I farm energy weapons.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, that was actually it for how to play a heavy weapons character.
Yeah, that was
pretty short. 2 points. Don't do stealth. Area of effect is good.
Just the first section of the article. That just to be clear on that, because we have more to read.
Yeah, this isn't the end of the podcast. Be like, man, what are these two talking about for the next 45 minutes? Yep. Then we're on to the best gear for a heavy weapons build, and I think you should take this as you are kind of the gear guy.
Yay!
You've made guides for all of these weapons, I'm sure.
I have actually. Best gear for a heavy weapons build. I may have. They may include some like non-unique variant stuff.
They do.
Although a heavy weapons build narrows down the weapon type you use, there are lots of choices to choose from. There are lots to choose from, but they said there are lots of choices to choose from. Redundant. Additionally, which type of armor you wear is essential if you want to create a proper build. That is very important if they're emphasizing a lack of stealth. So I agree with that.
Yep.
The best ballistic-based heavy weapon, the CZ-57 Avenger. Yes, I fully agree. What they say on this one is the CZ-57 Avenger is a unique minigun you can obtain in New Vegas. It deals 390 damage per second and uses an ammo type called 5mm rounds. That's weird. Just say it uses 5mm.
Yeah. But...
It's like one of the most common ammo types. The Avenger deals more damage than the standard minigun and also fires faster. You can get your hands on the CZ-57 Avenger by traveling to the Devil's Throat and picking it up from inside of a blue truck. So this is something new and what I'm not used to in any article like this. Link is below for the article that we're reading.
Yep.
If you want to follow along. But they have like actual screen caps of the map location of these things alongside, you know, a little description along it. This is tabled and beautiful. Like, that's my critique of this. It is very well organized, and I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, big positive for the map as well is they haven't just gone to the center of a map is where they're hovering over. They've specifically framed it so you can see, like, the Crimson Caravan or, like, the top part of New Vegas is, like, included in the picture, which makes it very easy to work out where on the map exactly the Devil's Throat is.
Yeah.
Beautiful framework.
I don't want to give them too much credit because I don't know where they got the maps for this, but the mosaic, not mosaic. It's close to the same word. But all the maps that got combined for this interior map that they were showing at the Silver Rush, like in the Freeside area or local map thing, it's a good map. Anyway, next entry, best energy-based heavy weapon, Flamer. There are a few energy weapons you can choose from for a heavy weapon build, but one of the best is by far the Flamer, which deals 128 damage per second. The Flamer is a flamethrower that shoots fire and runs off of Flamer fuel. The prerequisites are an energy weapon skill 50 and 7 strength. You can purchase or steal a Flamer from Gloria Van Gruff, the Silver Rush, outside the strip's main gate. So little funny typo there, but it's fine. It's fine.
You know, so far I think the biggest issues have been like the odd word of fluff or clunky phrasing or typo. Actual content-wise, very good.
Yeah.
One, because we're having to get kind of granular on our complaints, because overall this is very good, and I want to make that clear. Yeah. So far, this is the best gamer article we've ever read. Which deals 128 damage per second. Surely that'll be like affected by your skills, right?
Yes.
So I am curious if that's on like the low end or the high end.
Let's look at it.
And there's the Pyromaniac perk as well, right? Which gives like a 25% boost or something.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as to if that's like the top end damage with max skills, best perks for it and everything, or if that's like low end damage. Or if that's just somewhere in the middle.
It shows DPS. Yeah, DPS is 128.
Okay, is that like base?
Base. And then in parentheses.
Does it say on there?
Yeah, it says parentheses with all related perks, 259.6.
Nice. Okay, so this is off the base damage.
Yeah.
Cool with that.
Yeah. Man, I love the Fallout wiki so much. The fandom one and the Vault one, whatever they combined into. Okay. Best explosive, Wanda explosive. Of course, it is the Fat Man. The Fat Man is one of the strongest and most available explosive heavy weapons in the Mojave Wasteland. It deals 400 base damage per hit and uses mini nukes as ammo. To wield a Fat Man, you will need to have an explosive skill of 100 and have 8 strength. You can buy a Fat Man from the 188 trading post.
Like you're gonna have the same complaint that I have on that little bit there.
As we're going, they're showing prerequisites as if they are required, because that's what prerequisite means. But it's not required. Your accuracy is just crap. If you don't have the strength and skill.
You can wield a Fat Man without these things. But yeah, I feel like that might be some slightly clunky writing. But
but you can also buy the Fat Man from the 188 trading post is the end of that one. Which you can get it in a lot of places. Solid.
And they already has covered the energy, explosives, and they've said ballistic based, but it's still the gun skill. So it's good that that's kind of been hit upon this.
Yeah. I am...
And if you want to cover the armor as well, just quickly.
Yes. Best armor for heavy weapons build, power armor. Very obvious for most of us who've played Fallout. Although any armor can work well with a heavy weapons build, most players prefer power armor since it grants the highest protection possible. Heavy weapons work well with close range combat in most scenarios, so you should have strong protection if you want to use this build effectively. You can find out how to get power armor training in this guide. A full set of T51 power armor is available for free by traveling to the Deathclaw Promontory and picking it up off a dead soldier's body.
I like how casual that is. Yeah, just go chill with Deathclaws and pick up some power armor. You'll be fine. Good luck, buddy.
There's a reason I try not to recommend those places in my guides. Because you're gonna die.
You know what? I feel like this is a thing just overall. People being like, oh, okay, here's the best, like, stat-based thing. And regardless of how easy or difficult it is, that's what I recommend.
Yeah.
I've had recently, like, with Skyrim, people being like, oh, why don't you just go to Solstheim and pick up this thing? And it's like, because I'm level 5 and have nothing.
This is the part that tells me where it's geared towards players that are very familiar with New Vegas, more so than players that are new. Because players, you hear Deathclaw Promontory, you're like, oh, that's how it's gonna be. If you have been familiar with New Vegas, but if you're a newbie, like even like hearing Deathclaw, you'll just be like, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Deathclaw's the mount for Cole Friends. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be a super cool hippogriff.
Yeah, it's gonna be super great. You can get an alpha and a mother in the same place.
Yep.
So ridiculous.
Overall, though, pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty good.
Like, we have minor complaints.
Also, this is I will say, this article specifically has been mindful of those who don't have DLC, which is actually pretty cool too.
That is a good shout.
Yeah. Because all these things that we're going over are not DLC weapons. These are part of the vanilla game.
Yeah. That's something that I wouldn't have done. I'll come entirely clean on that. I forget what's included with DLC sometimes and what's base games, so I'm just like,
I've covered so many DLC things. I've gotten complaints about covering DLC things in some of my countdowns because a large majority of some of my like Skyrim ones are just like, oh, it's mostly DLC stuff. Even though you should have a special edition at least by now. Come on, what are you doing?
Oh, calling people out.
I am calling people out. I will. Because it's so cheap right now.
That's fair.
All right, next one. Next part.
Yeah. Next up is talking about the stats, saying that New Vegas has many avenues that you can use to customize your character. From skills to traits, each character you build will likely be very different from one another. There is some variation allowed in a heavy weapons build here and there, but there are also many universal stats and abilities that are essential for this build.
Ooh.
Interesting. I will also argue completely that each character you build will likely be very different from one another. Surely the right to know is that we all go, oh yeah, I'll play something different, and then we build the exact same character 5 times in a row.
Yep.
That's how it goes.
That's how I force myself to do something different is doing a playthrough.
Yeah.
That's what Sarge is doing too, I'm sure.
Times, yeah, it's very true. But the amount of times in New Vegas where I've been like, oh, I'm given a varmint rifle, you know, this feels kind of good, the ammo's plentiful, I guess I'll spec a little bit into guns, and oh yeah, rifles do feel quite nice, and sneaking and getting enemies at range saves me on healing items, which otherwise are a real pain right at the start of the game. Oh dear, have I become a sniper again? Well, there goes my melee build.
Yeah. Well, and then you have the flip side, which is me, who's playing a melee build. It's like, oh, bullets? Pfft. That's things to sell.
Yep.
Where's my grenades and power fists? Thank you very much. That's it. That becomes the build again.
Yeah. Alright, the next little section is talking about special stats, and I'm just going to skim read this, because I'm going to read the bold stuff, because most of the other stuff I don't have a big problem with. Says, strength is essential for a heavy weapons build, because weapons in New Vegas have a strength requirement. Also saying that you get more carry weight, which is good. Perception is another important stat because it increases your explosive and energy weapon skills.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Which, yeah, I kind of get, but we'll see. Rest of your stats are negotiable for a heavy weapons build. That's another weird word there.
Negotiating with the doctor. No. I have 2 luck.
Yes. Does say, although endurance will likely be helpful if you plan to get up close to your enemies during combat. And yeah, overall I think that's okay. I'd actually have put endurance a bit higher and perception lower, because I think the boost to explosives and energy weapon skills from perception is fairly minor overall.
Yeah. Endurance is the... Yeah.
Yeah, and the accuracy boost from perception, probably not as important for a lot of heavy weapons-based characters.
Yeah,
so
and
I don't think perception's that good.
I thought New Vegas was kind of a weird one in that sense, where perception didn't really like affect your accuracy, aside from like just boosting the skill.
I mean, it definitely affects it in that, and I feel like there's a minor effect. I might be wrong on this, but I always thought there was like a small effect on like actual, I suppose, bloom for bullets. Maybe would be the best way to describe it. But I don't think perception's that important. Strength and endurance are definitely the 2 big ones.
We should go over their recommended special stats for those that aren't reading along too.
Because they have below a well-balanced special distribution for the 40 points you get to allocate when you create your character.
Yeah.
This is what I scrolled down to earlier and was like, oh. So what we have here is Strength 10, Perception 10, Endurance 6, Charisma 4, Intelligence 3, Agility 5, and Luck 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's perfect. Nothing to complain about there.
It's so correct. I have nothing to say.
I hate this. I hate this so much. This is never a
I should just pop this on screen so other people can see it. Like that's what I'm gonna do that. Just
okay.
So it's fresh in everybody's mind. Just keep that for later.
Yeah. So I'd already spoken about perception and endurance, how I basically would flip them. And I think if you have like 10 endurance, that's okay, I guess, for a heavy weapons character.
I wonder.
I'd obviously only go to 9 because of implants, but
let me check perception really quick on because it may be basing a lot of these around perk requirements. So
none of them can be up to 10. All right, while you're doing that, I'll complain about charisma/intelligence. Okay. Charisma's at 4 for is it Animal Friend? It's Animal Friend or Wasteland Whisperer. It's one of those perks. I can never remember the name because it switches up slightly every
Animal
game.
Friend, I think.
It is Animal Friend in UVX, okay. Yeah, that's the only reason people go up to Charisma 4. Otherwise, it should be at 1. And honestly, Animal Friend is not that great. Like, I don't think it's worth the 3 points in Charisma. Just not worth it. Like, I could see people going for, like, actually putting Charisma at 3 and then getting the implant, maybe. That I could kind of back. Or maybe at 2 in a rank of intensive training, like... But I don't like Charisma being at 4. So, I know there's an argument for it,
okay,
but
so
not great.
With a perception of 6, you can get nearly every perk you would want, perception-based. You can get Sniper, Friend of the Night, Light Step, and better criticals.
What perks do you miss out on?
You miss out on Hobbler, which is an Honest Hearts one. And that's your chance to hit opponents' legs and vats is significantly increased. That can be fun with big guns. But you also just hit a lot of them with an explosive.
Yeah.
Infiltrator, which is at 7, which nobody should take. So
that's just lockpicking, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a lockpicking based one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, is that it?
That's it.
Okay, so yeah, perception definitely doesn't need to be a 10.
Sorry,
10 perception, bad.
Alertness also, which is another Honest Hearts one that doesn't really matter too much.
Okay. Yeah. So perception way too high, and intelligence way too low.
Yes.
They've got intelligence 3 on there. Intelligence is the best stat. Like, to the point where I actually think it's kind of almost bad game design to a small degree.
Yes.
Because the higher the intelligence, the better your character is overall. It's the best stat out of all 7.
What did you say on strength? Did you say strength was fine?
Strength, I didn't actually talk about strength. Strength 10 I think is too high.
I do too.
I still think it should be high, but I'd say like 7 or 8 is kind of where I'd cap things out.
That's where I was thinking
probably
too.
Go 7.
because
Especially
power armor,
seeing as we're gonna have to talk about perks. Oh yeah, oh, man, I didn't
power
even think
armor
about
is
the
already
power armor
recommended
point
for the
of it.
build, so like you would be able to
Yeah.
reach that threshold with that.
Yeah, you wouldn't even need particularly high strength.
But you need power armor training, which is a pain.
Yeah.
But also the implants, like you were talking about. Like, if even though it's a low charisma, you can still boost the attributes that you need to be higher. So,
and if you put more of those points from strength and perception into endurance, you could get more of the implants.
yes.
Yeah, intelligence should be higher though. The higher your intelligence, the more skill points you get, which makes like a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to max out intelligence, and I think a big decision for it is like how much of the game do you plan to really go for in a playthrough. Like, if you're going for a shorter playthrough, I think higher intelligence is better. If you're going for a really long playthrough, I think you can actually get away with, I was going to say low intelligence, I'm still going to say mid-intelligence.
Lower intelligence.
Yeah.
Average.
But, yeah, 9 times out of 10, though, I go for 9 intelligence. It just gives you a huge boost early on with tons more skill points. It's the same as, like, picking up the Educator perk. You just do this stuff, and you can max out all the skills you want nice and early.
Yeah.
And then get better at side stuff. Like, it just is good.
If this were Fallout 3, I'd be like, maybe raise agility a little bit more because it's a lot more VATS focused, but VATS in New Vegas is a bit more punishing, especially if you're in close quarters. So
yeah, I've got no issue one way or another with agility 5.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Luck 2, I'm like...
I think this build would need more luck, though.
Yeah.
I think it would.
Like, I don't like playing a low luck character, ever.
No.
Like, I don't think it needs to be high, but when you throw a ton of points into... When you max out strength perception and throw 3 extra points that aren't really needed into charisma, when you could have just thrown a few into luck, and at least kept it even, I'd always go for that.
It doesn't matter if you're ugly in the Mojave. Like, you're just shooting everybody anyway. It's fine.
Yeah. Genuinely, New Vegas is just like, intelligence is the best skill, charisma is the worst. And I will not hear otherwise about it.
That's attributes.
It's just...
Yes.
Yes, sorry. Best special attribute.
That's special.
Yes. Sorry, the next section is skills for a heavy weapon build.
Yes. This is where it gets interesting.
Where, yeah, it actually explains that you place points into the gun skill and increases your damage with ballistic weapons. Nice. And it talks about the tag skills. We all know all of that. And you gain 10 or more points, which you can distribute every time you level up. And it even says you gain 1 extra point per level with each point of intelligence you have. So only go for 3 intelligence. You don't want extra points. Why would you want that?
Yeah.
So it says the most important skills for a heavy weapons build are energy weapon... Should be energy weapons. Energy weapon, explosive, and gun skills.
Yes.
And says each of these governs a certain type of weapons. You can pick between them depending on which kind of heavy weapon you wish to choose. However, it's worth working on all 3 skills if you plan to use different weapons throughout your playthrough. I think there's some good clarification in that.
Yeah. I still wouldn't...
Because on it...
Sorry. I wouldn't tell in I guess this is the first game builder in me being like, never tag 3 weapon skills.
No, I agree.
Because like you're gonna have some severe disadvantages with everything else that relates to like interacting with NPCs or looting or whatever. Have at least 1 secondary skill of some kind. Or 1 active skill. I guess they're secondary or active skill. Aside from your weapons ones.
Yeah, I'd say you could go for 2 of these. The actual thing I'd recommend, personally, for people going to heavy weapons, is to ideally figure out what heavy weapon you want as your end game, then pick the relevant skill, energy weapons, explosive, or guns, and then carry, like, essentially sidearms that relate to that skill, which aren't heavy weapons.
Yeah.
So if you're going for an energy weapon like the Tesla rifle, maybe also carry a laser rifle with you, which is good for dispatching, like, small foes that you don't want to waste the good ammo on.
Yeah. Or a charger that Sarge preaches about all the time.
Charger. It doesn't cost me any ammo, Caedo. It's free.
It's free kills.
Yeah. It's amazing. Finally, mentions the barter skill is also useful because heavy weapon ammo, such as mini nukes, are very expensive to buy from a merchant.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can actually see some use for that. Barter's almost always a skill which, at best, is secondary for me, but, you know, playing heavy weapons,
in this
you're
case,
probably going to want to buy some nice ammo.
It makes a lot of sense to go barter. If I do return to Fallout 3 and do that heavy weapons build that I've always wanted to do, probably gonna heavily consider barter.
Yeah.
Because of the need for ammo.
Okay. So we've got an image coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm pretty sure this is a modded... Is this a modded perk? So the image here says, welcome to level 8. Yeah, they're playing a modded game and they're highlighting the perk one way or another.
Oh.
Which is not a perk in the game. I don't think this is actually... No, they don't mention it in the actual article. Just very weird to see the image they've chosen show a modded perk.
That's weird.
Yeah. But the next section is perks, which I'm also going to cover because I have a complaint with this part as well.
You have big brain on perks, is what you're saying.
Yes. So, points out that you earn a perk per 2 levels.
Yes.
So there are many to choose from.
Nope.
However, perks have specific requirements. You can't unlock all of them on the same character. Weird phrasing again on that.
Yep.
I feel like you should be like, hey, you only get a perk every 2 levels, so be careful about your choice, rather than you get one every 2 levels, therefore there's a lot of them. What?
It's a hyper-extended paragraph is what that is.
Yeah. And then there are 5 different perks listed, saying that, like, these are the ones to go for. And...
uniquely useful for heavy weapons, it says.
Yes. So first we have Rapid Reload, where your guns reload 25% faster. You can get it from level 2.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Guns 30, agility 5. Yeah, I'm solid with that. That's pretty good. A definite one, if you're going with explosives, is
hold on.
Wait.
Oh wait, he does have agility 5 in his build. I had to scroll up. Hold on. Yeah.
Yes.
We're good.
Well, we'll be getting to that. I'm actually going to skip one of them and shift around the order a little bit. So, Demolition Expert comes next. Level 6, Explosive 50. There's also 3 ranks of it. It says you deal 20% more damage with explosive weapons. Obviously makes sense if you're using an explosive one.
Yep.
We've got Strong Back as well for level 8, with Strength and Endurance 5. He's got way more than that, which is you gain 50 carry weight. Definitely helpful. Gonna skip that one to next. Then talk about Pyromaniac at level 12 with Explosive 60. Says you deal 50% more damage with flame-based weapons. If you're using the flamer, it's worth using.
Yep.
Then the other one included is Weapon Handling at 16. All strength requirements for weapons are 2 points lower. And then in brackets, only unlock weapon handling if you have less than 10 strength.
Yeah.
Why did you put it at 10 strength? Why? Your next section talks about weapon handling and how that can do it. Like, that's why I go for like 7 or 8.
That's why we could pull even more points out if you take weapons handling.
If you go for strength 7, you get an additional one with the implant, so you go up to strength 8. Then weapon handling treats you as having 10 strength for the purposes of any weapons.
Yeah.
So you save 3 special points.
You could build 1 strength and get weapon handling.
You could.
You could. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying it's doable.
That would be bad.
I'm gonna do a playthrough someday of a terrible build, like the worst build using the worst perks, and I may do that.
Go for it. Yeah, that's but it feels like there's a bit of a disconnect there, and it's the problem we've already talked about, so I'm not going to spend too long on it. I did want to highlight that the very next paragraph from when he just said, or when they just suggested 10 strength, they're then like, and weapon handling, that's good too.
Yeah.
Alright. We're on to traits now. Do you want to take this one?
Sure, I'll take this one. I'm probably going to read it out, though. I don't want you to get bored.
Oh, the whole thing.
We have a screen cap of the traits screen. This is surprisingly late into the article, though, because traits are in character creation. It's a little gripe about progression of or what comes after what. Anyway,
I'd still say that's on the minor gripe side of things, though.
it is. Yeah, it's a minor gripe. But at the beginning of your journey in the Mojave Wasteland and directly after character creation, of course mentioning it, you'll have the chance to select 2 traits. Traits are essentially perks that offer a positive effect at the cost of a negative effect. You can choose up to 2, but you can also take only 1 or none at all if you choose. That's, again, weirdly worded. There are 2 traits that work well with heavy weapons. The first is Fast Shot, which increases firing speed of all your guns by 20%, but makes them 20% less accurate. Most heavy weapons have a high area of effect damage, but have a slow firing speed, such as the Fat Man or the Flamer, so this perk is incredibly useful. The action point cost for your guns is also 20% less with the Fast Shot trait. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah.
Wait, is that actually, like, a thing?
It doesn't say in the perk description, or in the trait description, but if that's true, that's actually really good.
Yeah, I'd say if that last part is true, then yeah, that is good. I'd argue that the increased firing speed really depends on what weapon you're using, and I think the actual example, like the Fat Man, probably isn't that great, because 20% faster firing speed for the Fat Man, it isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I killed the
because
enemy.
it's rapid reload that you got to rely on for that one.
Yeah, and like, if you need to fire the weapon really quickly because someone's about to attack you, then the Fat Man is not the weapon you generally want to be using.
Yeah.
I
Also,
feel like.
I don't know if that's good. Yeah, that's not good for flamers either. That's extremely ammo inefficient, actually.
Yeah.
Because that's just accuracy versus speed. Or accuracy. Losing accuracy because of speed.
Yeah. Close range with a minigun? That'd be good.
Yeah, close range with a minigun. That would be... Fast Shot's great.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Anyway, the second trait, which they're suggesting, which is only available in the Old World Blues DLC, thank you for clarifying, is Hot Blood. This trait increases your damage by 15%, but only while you're below 50% HP. You'll also lose 2 points of perception and agility while under 50% HP. Despite its disadvantages, many heavy weapons already deal one-shot blows to most enemies, so an extra 15% damage makes weapons like the Fat Man incredibly powerful. Yeah, it's a fine option.
Yeah, I can definitely see the advantage. I think, like, part of a potential problem is also mentioned there, with many heavy weapons already deal one-shot blows to most enemies. So it's like the extra damage is often going to be worthless, but it could still come in handy for the times where it doesn't one-shot. Even if it does mean you have to be under 50% HP and lose... Is it really 2 points of perception and agility? That's...
I'm gonna look that up.
that seems particularly harsh. Like, I know Hot Blood is one I've never gone for, but that feels wrong.
Hot Blooded is the name.
Oh, okay. They call it Hot Blood in here. That makes more sense.
Minus 2% to perception and agility when your health is below 50. Yeah. That nerfs your VATs too if you're using it at all. Pretty hard.
Yeah. Makes you a little slower too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it says on the bugs that the traits affecting is incorrect in game, saying it only gives 10% damage rather than 15% damage it actually gives. So this person has correctly identified that it's 15% damage, which is good.
No, it only gives 10% damage.
Wait, the description of the traits effect is incorrect in game, saying it only gives 10% damage rather than 15% damage it actually gives.
Yeah.
So it deals 15% damage.
Oh, it says C-Bugs below. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the wiki's acting as though it's the corrected version. Okay, I'm reading correctly now.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm reading corrections.
Yeah, and, yes, I just wanted to credit the article with having the correct effect,
accurate,
despite the in-game text being incorrect.
Accurate information.
Yeah. But I still feel like that's one I probably wouldn't ever go for. I like my health bar topped out.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see the advantage there.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, I'd actually go for good-natured and... What's the other one? Skilled.
I would...
Because those are the two traits I always go for.
Wait, why... Hold on. Oh yeah, skilled is less punishing in New Vegas. I always forget that.
Yeah. I mean, good natured and skilled are just kind of ridiculously good for any character, I'd say.
I often go with built to destroy.
Oh, okay.
Because maintenance only doesn't become too much of a problem if you're used to playing it.
That's fair.
What? Why can't I look? What? Built to destroy.
What are you having? Oh, you're trying to read it. Isn't it like plus 3% damage, but weapons degrade 15% faster?
I can't find it. It's not letting me. Oh, here we go.
Oh dear.
Built to destroy.
Grandpa's having trouble with
plus
the computer
I am.
again.
I am. Plus 3% critical chance. Weapon condition decays 15% faster. So that
honestly, I'm impressed with myself for getting the numbers right.
So that can offset your garbage. I knew it was a 3% something, but that can offset your garbage luck if you're going with 2 luck.
Yeah, I just wouldn't do that.
No, I wouldn't either.
All right.
I don't drop it any lower than 5.
Same. I feel like 6 is my go-to for luck most of the time. I'm like, I just want to be a little bit lucky.
But I also like small frame because it's a +1 agility versus or with fragile limbs trade-off, which is easy enough to deal with too. Again, if you're familiar with the game, and the challenge perks, getting limbs crippled 50 times makes them stronger.
Yep.
So you can offset that trade-off.
Yes, penultimate section now, talking about implants.
Yes.
And I don't think there's too much we need to go over here, because a lot of this is just describing what the implants are, and I don't have issues with, like, any of the descriptions skimming through. The recommended implant, saying the implant you should purchase for a heavy weapons build, is the Hypertrophy Accelerator implant, because it gives you 1 extra point towards your strength stat. Why did you put it at 10 strength and then be like, implant and perk to reduce strength requirements?
Same situation for the next suggestion, too.
Yep. Perception stats implant, optic enhancer, and the agility stats implant, reflex booster are also worth considering for 4,000 caps each. Perception boosts your energy weapons and explosive skills, while agility increases your gun skill. I think just in general, the author of the article is kind of overselling how useful the relation between the special stats and the skills are. Like, isn't it only a few points you get per special stat increased?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not crazy. That's literally just get intelligence instead.
Yeah. And this is also just overlapping the initial build plan too.
Yeah.
Where it's probably more just suggestions. Because players are probably going to maybe it's under that impression that players are going to mess around with their attributes at least a little bit.
Yeah.
For their play style or like honing it too, instead of picking all 3 of the weapon skills, which drives me up a wall. Instead, focusing down on one weapon type, or one style of weapon. Best companion. Okay, we're almost there. I want to make one complaint really quick.
Go for it.
No. We'll wait. Let's get to the end.
Okay, best companion. Here saying that there aren't many companions that fit a heavy weapons build. However, Edie is the best since it's an eyebot that shoots lasers. Edie, and yeah, I'm going to pronounce it that way.
No, it's Eddie.
But no, the other one's Eddie, because it's Ed-E. This one's E-DE.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see? Wait, is that the right way around?
Ed-E? Yeah, this is the wrong way. They wrote the wrong way.
Cool. Yeah. See, they got it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Article's rubbish. Can't tell the difference between Eddie and Edie. Trash. Throw it all out.
This is the worst article. Right at the end.
Okay. Yeah, but says Eddie is also small and ranged, so it won't get in your way if you use a mini nuke to blow up an entire room, which is a good point.
Yes.
And then the final bit is literally just telling you how to get him. And it's wrong because it's talking about Edie, and you need the DLC for that when it's actually Eddie. Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Well, also you have the cool like DLC repair functions that Eddie has as well, which is really good for heavy weapons.
Yes, and it's helpful.
Especially if you're built to destroy like me.
Yes. I think it's a good point though about like a small ranged follower rather than the one that charges in
Yes,
for melee
definitely
is a good shout, because you will blow them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solid at the end. What was your complaint, Caedo?
My complaints. Grenade machine gun was not mentioned once. The grenade rifles were also not mentioned at all.
That's fair.
This is a big guns focus thing, but the grenade machine gun is ridiculously strong if you have grenades.
Oh, it is crazy.
And that's why there's Mercy, which is an even stronger variant of it, because they really want you to use the grenade machine gun. It was used in a lot of the promo materials for New Vegas, if I remember correctly, too. Where they were just like, we just wanted to come up with an automatic grenade launcher.
Yeah.
I was like, that's freaking cool, and I want to use it. Not to mention like the various like grenade ammo types, the 40 mil ammo types that you can put in the thing. You can have incendiaries. With the DLCs, you got plasma based ones. Like I think there's EMP based ones too. I can't remember.
That
right.
sounds right.
But yeah, that's my main gripe. Is it wasn't mentioned at all.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
A little disappointed.
Overall, I'm gonna say this was a good article. I'd say there are problems with it.
Yep.
But oh, go on, Caedo. You wanted to jump in with something there.
No.
Go for it.
It's a good guideline for a build, but it shouldn't be a be all end all,
Yeah.
especially because it's conflicting as you get further down.
100% was going to be the other thing I went into, where this isn't really a build guide, it's kind of a build explainer.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here are some things that people sometimes do when creating builds.
Here's what I
think
suggest and why you would want it, kind of thing.
Yeah. My biggest problem by far is the special stats.
Yes.
Like, that I'm just like, nah, I don't think that's a good loadout. But overall, I think this is solid enough.
Yeah.
It gives people a good idea of kind of where they might want to be thinking when they get into a heavy weapon style character. It's not like a build in and of itself, but it's a nice little kind of, here, I'm just going to hold your hand and walk you through the like heavy weapons exhibit. Do you like some of the stuff here? Yeah, go ahead and try it out.
Yeah. It's too bad. Too bad the most fun weapon was just left out.
Well,
I would be salty about it.
fine. I will say, Michael, good job on the article overall.
Good job. Yeah. Also, the visuals, fantastic.
Yep. I mean, just formatting in general, pretty good.
Yeah.
There was one complaint, and it was with a modded perk being highlighted, which is a tad bit confusing,
Yeah,
but honestly
bit.
not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of a, hey, wait, that caught me off guard, and that's it.
I don't recognize this.
Yeah.
It's-
Michael done a pretty good job, and I've clicked on like his more articles published 772 articles
Oh my
on the
God.
Gamer. Yep. He also did a sniper build guide, a morrowing guide for every player home, Fallout 3 Blood Ties walkthrough, ESO best builds for Necromancer, some Divinity Original Sin stuff.
Ooh.
Like, yeah, a lot of stuff on here, and hopefully it is all equal to or better than that one article.
Yes. Or maybe he adapted as he went. I don't know. We'll see. Because we have a very recent one that we went over.
Yeah, I will say these have all been made pretty recently. Like, the New Vegas guide is now 18 hours ago, the Sniper guide 21 hours ago, the Morrowind guide 23 hours ago, Fallout 3 Blood Ties was a few days ago, ESO was 4 days ago, Divinity 4 days ago, sorry, it's 5 days ago,
Maybe
5
they're
days
onto
ago,
something.
6 days ago.
Or maybe he's grabbing them from like his own website or something like that. I'm also not a writer. I hate writing, so I don't know how quickly people can crank these out, especially if they've made 700 something articles. So
Yeah. It looks like there's more than one a day on average.
yeah,
So
this is a lot.
yeah, these are clearly meant as like, here's just a quick go through, and for like quite a fast thing rather than some of the projects we've done where it's like, yeah, I worked for a month to make sure this guide is perfect.
Yep.
I think for a likely much quicker turnaround guide, that was well made.
Yeah. I also can't handle jumping around between different subjects, like researching and stuff like that. Like a lot of that information just gets lost, and I get overwhelmed. So good on him for being able to make something, cool. Hey, you're a Nyan cat.
Yeah. What?
You're a Nyan cat in the document.
Oh, cat.
I think that's kind of funny.
Okay. Fair enough.
I thought that was great. Very rare Nyan cat. So what did you think of that article, listeners? It was a build suggestion for Big Guns. Have you played a Big Guns build? That's what I want to know. And what have you been playing? That's
the section that we're ending on.
Yeah, Sarge, what have you been playing?
I've only been playing 2 games recently.
Oh.
Skyrim, I've been going through my channel, been doing a little challenge run of that, where I'm using just only weapons, armor, potions, and poisons that I myself have crafted. Yep, that's been quite a fun challenge run, has been getting a lot of support. In fact, the latest video is like the worst performing in the rankings, but it's got 1.8 thousand views.
Wow.
In like less than 3 days, so that's still pretty good. Like, this series has really clicked with a lot of people. I've gained like a lot of new subscribers who are just like, yeah, we really enjoy this stuff, and that has been
That's great.
Absolutely brilliant.
It's
been lovely. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I'm having new episodes of that every Monday and Wednesday.
Nice. And then mine happens every Wednesdays and Fridays. So you get use Sarge and Caedo throughout the week. It's great.
Yeah. So much content. I'm currently downstairs in the house that I'm living in. I moved like all of my equipment from the top floor, which is boiling hot and infested with vermin, to the bottom floor, which is nice and cool and not infested with vermin. Which is why I might sound a bit different for this episode and a future episode or two. But because of that, I've not really been sat at my desk playing on the PC much, because this is actually quite uncomfortable sitting here. The setup is not great. So instead, I went on my Xbox, and I've been playing Oblivion. And I've sunk about 30 odd hours in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, after you saying, like, I played as a Breton and a mage, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give a go as a Breton and a mage. And I'm the Archmage, I'm one of the Knights of the Thorn, I'm almost done with the main quest, I've done tons of side stuff, nice. I've really been enjoying it, and I've sunk fully in.
Been crushing Oblivion this time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's probably the longest Oblivion play. Nah. It's close to the longest Oblivion playthrough I've gone through.
That's cool.
One slightly weird thing is I'm playing it without any of the DLCs.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask.
I'm doing it on my Xbox.
If you had the Game of the Year, or if you're just playing the vanilla.
No, it's the vanilla. Previously, I played Game of the Year, and honestly, I don't think I'm that big a fan of the DLCs for Oblivion.
Oh.
Somewhat heresy.
Yeah, hot take.
But, yeah, I think the main reason is because people talk so highly about the DLCs that I go in with, like, too high an expectation. Yeah. Whereas people haven't hyped up so many other parts of the game, so I can just kind of let myself get more invested easily.
Yeah.
So I've been enjoying this playthrough more than probably any of my other playthroughs of the game. It's been nice to just be a super overpowered mage. I also did my first bit of spellcrafting just yesterday, where I made a spell I called Instant Death, which is just maximum damage for shock, frost, and ice, and it has completely one-shot killed any enemy I've used it on so far. It's great.
How are you maintaining like the high magicka costs for those? Because that's what I'm struggling with in my game.
I've got destruction maxed out, and I've got extra stuff. I've got like I can't remember what the actual stat that relates to destruction, but that's maxed out as well. Like
willpower and intelligence. Intelligence, I think, is destruction.
Yeah. I've got that at 100, I've got destruction at 100. Like, I waited until everything was maxed out before I crafted a spell.
I've got them at 100, but just the spell costs are still really high. And I'm like, I can cast one, and then I have to recover magicka.
Okay. I can cast my instant death spell twice, and it's touch based, so I'm just very careful with how and where I cast it. Yeah. Oh yeah, if you make it a touch spell, it's much cheaper.
Yeah, I already knew about that part. So I use weaken as my touch spell, and then I have a projectile that I destroy them with.
I mean, I have been mostly using I think it's Wizard's Fury, something like that. It's the destruction spell you get like towards the end of the whole Mage's Arcane University questline, which is like a really good kind of cost for value destruction spell, which does like a mixture of the elements at range, but it's like very cheap for how much damage it does. And while now at like level 31 or 32, I think I am, something quite high, like I'm almost maxed out on leveling up, I think. Now it's not dealing too much damage to a lot of the enemies, but it still does enough to kind of pass by when I don't want to eat up half my Magicka bar in one spell.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that.
Awesome.
Gonna keep playing it for a while. And one other thing I wanted to briefly touch on, I will keep it brief because we are running close to the 2-hour mark now, is I just got done watching Umbrella Academy Season 3, which came to Netflix earlier this week. My spoiler-free review is that I really enjoyed the first half of this season, wasn't so much into the second half, still very good overall, but it is my least favourite out of the 3 seasons.
Yeah. A lot of the Violent Lady story focus, I forgot.
Have you watched Season 3?
I think I have.
I'm wondering if you've watched Season 2, because Victor does have, like, an important part in Season 3, but he's,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Are you sure you've watched Season 3?
Maybe I'll have to see it again, because I watched it all at the time to like binged it. So maybe I'm
Season 3 only came out like a few days ago.
Oh, well then I have to watch it. Okay.
Okay, you haven't seen Season 3 yet.
I saw Season 2 all the way through. That explains everything.
Yes, okay. Elliot Page, the actor, who was previously Ellen Page, is trans.
Yes.
So they have that in the character. So you were talking about Vanya, who's now Victor. They do it quite tastefully in the show as well, having it like incorporated in.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very slight spoilers, but by like episode 2, it's like its own mild side plot point. And I was glad to see they didn't like either hyper focus on it or completely ignore it. They hit like a nice middle ground where it was like, hey, here is this thing, we're going to talk about it, but also the rest of the story isn't like just shoved to the side.
Yeah.
It's just like a thing in the character's life, which is
cool.
Good.
So
thumbs up for that part of it.
It's affecting just the character, but not the entirety of everything revolving around it.
Yeah.
Where that's a tasteful way of doing it.
It's very, very well done in my opinion.
Cool. Good.
Anyway, yeah. What you been up to, Caedo?
Well, we were just talking about Oblivion. And I mentioned that I am also playing Oblivion, but on PC, and it's the Game of the Year edition that has all the bells and whistles that come along with it. I also modded it a little bit.
All that horse armor.
Yes, I do have horse armor. Yes.
Oh,
but it's important to mention that there were other DLCs that weren't talked about and were just like pushed to the side because of the horse armor thing. Like the Wizard's Tower that you can get as a player home, which is pretty cool. It's the first time I've actually seen it and used it. And it lets you teleport to each of the mages' colleges.
That's good. See, I feel like I'd heard about that, and I was even looking for it when I went into the Arcane University and was like, I thought this was a thing.
Yeah. Okay. So it was initially a thing in in Morrowind where you could like each of the mages' colleges had like a teleporter character where they could teleport to another one of the mages' colleges or mages' guilds. But you can. It's not really a thing in the main college, but in the Wizard's Tower or the Mage's Tower, that player home that you get, it has a cool overlook where it's got all of the portals to the other mages' guilds, which is really neat. I have been playing a Breton spellcaster also.
Hey, they're too good.
They are
having extra magic and magic resistance.
They are stupidly overpowered.
Like, I feel like every other race gets, like, a bonus and a negative, and with Breton's they were like, you get a bonus and a bonus.
We're just godlike humans.
Yeah.
So I've been enjoying playing a lot of the Dark Brotherhood stuff. I think I just got to the end of the Dark Brotherhood quest line a couple nights ago, I think. Towards the end of my illness, because that's part of what I was using as coping, was playing through Oblivion. And it was good. It's been a lot of fun. Also, shenanigans with the poisoned apples. Like I have very amazing memories of playing pranks on city guards by killing them with poisoned apples. So,
jeez, just a prank, bro.
Just a prank. It's just funny watching them sit down to eat and then falling over dead, and then all the guards just kind of gathering around them, being like, "What happened?" but not saying anything.
Man.
And I've been also playing a newer survival game that's in early access called V Rising. Does
V stand for vampires?
Yes, it does. I mean, I think it does.
Oh man.
It's a good survival game for what it is so far. It's again, it's still in early access, but like Valheim, it's very much surprised me in what the standard of early access survival games has become, or just showing up the larger teams like we can have a functioning game when we release it in early access. It's okay to do that. So V Rising is very much that. We've only run into a few like issues, both me and Kite and me and Nelsa are playing it. Only a few issues that we really run into, but it's a fun game to explore. The systems are kind of cool. Your like passives are based on the blood you take in. Like everything has like a blood quality, and the higher the quality, the more perks that come along with that blood. And of course it runs out over time, so you have to, switch up, but it's basically like choosing a class kind of thing. You're choosing a class based on what enemy you're drinking the blood from, which is cool. I think that's a cool system. And then later, of course, you can enthrall some humans and take them back to your base and just drain them of blood.
Lovely.
And then make sure their misery doesn't get too high, otherwise they'll just straight up die by feeding them fish, which is hilarious. It's got tech trees and systems, and the bosses are actually pretty interesting. I really like the boss design in V Rising, that it's pretty easy to pick up on what the boss's movesets are after like one or two fights, which is cool. Like, I need more games to do that. Because I don't have time to just sit at a boss for like 2 hours to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do. So
that's fair.
V Rising does it pretty well. A reminder that it is very much designed to be played with friends, because some things require a lot of gathering materials or stealing materials from a lot of, villages around the place. But also I don't know if I like how the technology progression is. Like, it has you rotate between like learning it from scraps of paper versus learning it from killing a boss versus learning it from finding a book in a human encampment. Like, it rotates between those things, and I don't know if I like that. I do like it more being more of a progression style, kind of like Valheim does it, where it's like, okay, you've killed this boss, now you move on to the next biome and you get iron in that next biome. Like that, I much prefer that over like what V Rising is doing, where it's just like, oh, you need an entirely new workbench and you have to kill this boss for it. And I'm not super into that. But I'm looking forward to seeing like what comes next with it. I haven't quote unquote beaten the content that's out yet, but we're getting pretty close, I think.
All right.
But right now we're fighting this vampire hunter dude who's also a vampire, and he's got two swords, and he teleports around, he has ads, and it just becomes really chaotic, and I don't like him. That's enough geeking out about V Rising though. I have been doing my playthrough of Fallout 2. Both of us do this thing where we schedule episodes ahead in case, you know, something happens and we aren't able to record. I was at the point where I ran out of episodes right when I got sick. So I have a sick episode and a half that you may or may not be able to notice. I think I mentioned it in one of the episodes. But we did the Sierra Army Depot to get Skynet on our team. And it went incredibly smoothly, which was good because I was sick for most of it. So I only alerted the robot guards on one of the floors, and it was the floor that had the least amount of robots. I planned this. It was the floor that had the least amount of robots, and I had EMP grenades ready. So it went pretty dang well. Getting the brain, you needed like 120 science skill to successfully get the cybernetic brain, which I did. So Skynet can form sentences, which is good.
I love having that ability.
I also showed the brain extraction room in case you want to just steal a brain out of one of your existing companions and use that for the robo brain. So I showed an example of that. I put Marcus in the extraction room, and I was like, "Hold still, Marcus." Then he just explodes, and his brain's on the floor. It's pretty great. I reloaded though after that point. Just wanted to show people what that is. I've done experiments on Marcus twice in my playthrough. I just realized I used the serum on him too, which melted him.
Poor guy.
I'm sorry, Marcus. But it's been really fun. So we're on to the next part, which is going to be San Francisco, and then Navarro by extension. So that's we're getting close. We're getting close towards the end section of the game. I'm wondering how many Asian stereotypes I'm gonna have to like blur out and stuff like that though when we go through the San Fran, because it's Chinatown. But it has some jokes that didn't age well in the dialogue.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens during the playthrough.
All the fun of the past.
Yeah. 90s humor is not 2020s humor. Yeah, but I've been really enjoying this playthrough. It's going to be over 100 episodes probably, and it's going to be great.
That's a lot of episodes.
Thank you for the people who are still watching it, because it's got the playthrough fall off that I was expecting, that everyone should expect in a playthrough that long.
Oh yeah.
Beyond that, nothing else, I don't think. I'm really hungry, so we should probably call the episode.
Yes, let's call it so you can eat and I can stop sitting in this chair. It's really uncomfortable down here. I don't know why.
Get Sarge in a more comfortable chair. Thank you everyone for listening to us ramble and critique an article and talk about gaming for a little while and stuff like that. Catch us in the next episode 2 weeks from now, every other Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, where we'll talk about other things gaming related and Fallout related maybe. Until then, take care of yourselves. Oh, and thanks to Wasteland Legends Sven and David Hoover. I never do that. I should do that. So thank you for being Wasteland Legends and supporting at the tier that you are. Also, check out our Patreons. Have a nice day.